Whether it's good or bad, the worst part about going to a horror movie is sitting next to people. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that It Comes at Night is no perfect movie. So in It Comes at Night, there's been a major viral outbreak that has drastically affected the world, and a man named Paul, played by Joel Edgerton, and his wife and son, keep themselves locked in a remote cabin in the middle of the woods. And when a man named Will, played by Christopher Abbott, convinces them to let him and his family stay with them, both families start to become very paranoid over whether or not they're safe to live with, or whether or not they've been infected. Trey Edward Schultz is a talented watch as a director of psychological thrillers, mainly because he knows how to scare his audience by showing them as little as possible. He presents a scenario that's only hinted at, and then he takes his time in order to build up each moment and make a reveal much more startling. When Paul's family starts to begin to suspect their guests of lying to them, they overhear them through the walls of their room. We never see the guests, we can only hear what they're talking about, and we can only see Paul's reactions as he's eavesdropping on them. And before that, when he first meets Will, the camera starts with a close-up of Paul asking him questions, and then it slowly pans to Will answering those questions as best as he can, and then it slowly pans back to Paul as it builds up Paul's reactions to these answers and whether or not he believes him. And by restricting the location of the movie just to this cabin in the woods, it makes the world that these characters live in so much more scarier because we don't really know that many answers. How do people start getting sick? Are there people who are immune? Are they trying to create a cure? Because these characters don't know these answers, they're much more fearful that things will never be the same again or that they won't know what to do next. And as a result, the audience feels exactly as these characters are feeling. What makes each of the performances feel so grounded and genuine is the fact that each of these characters have something about them that they keep secret out of fear of what everyone else will think about them. Joel Edgerton as Paul has had to watch several people close to him suffer and die from the outbreak, and it's kind of implied that he may have had a hand in ending certain suffering. Which is why it hurts him so badly when he feels as if these guests are lying to him, that he has to take certain matters into his own hands and threaten them physically for information as to whether or not they're lying to him. It doesn't matter if they're a young family, he has a family and he has to protect them the most. And Kelvin Harrison Jr. especially keeps a lot of hidden pain to himself, especially for these dream sequences that show the fear that he has that his guests will make him infected. But at the same time, because he's been so isolated from the rest of the world for so long, he feels as if he needs to, at first, bond with them, get a working relationship between them, and he feels bad especially during one scenario where he has to lock himself in a certain room just because his family is afraid that he'll get infected, and he feels bad that he's all alone in this one area, and in this other area, his dad is threatening certain people physically that they've been living with for a certain amount of time. As for minor problems, there are a few scares in the film that don't really connect to the story and feel forced just to keep the audience's attention. The score by Brian McGomber is very eerie and it builds a lot of suspense in the film, but there are a lot of times where a character is just lurking around the house, they're carrying these gas lanterns, and they're filmed in really beautiful wide shots where the vastness of just that shot makes us feel as alone as the characters feel. And then there's no sound during a lot of these sequences, and when something eventful happens, what scares us is a sudden burst of music. That's really about it. And it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it takes you out of the moment because it's not like this really creepy imagery that we get throughout the rest of the movie. It's just a loud sound effect, and that's about it. It Comes at Night is very well acted, deliberately paced, and directed with top-notch quality that shows that things that you don't see can be just as, if not scarier, than what you do see. And for that reason, I'm going to give It Comes at Night a 4 out of 5. So if any of you have seen my review for Get Out, you remember that I ended that review with me telling a story about the experience that I had with the audience in that movie, where I thought that it was probably the worst experience that I had in the theater yet. But last night, when I saw this movie, man, this one just took the cake. And I'm starting to realize that the worst experiences that I've had in movie theaters generally tend to be with horror movies or really like violent thrillers. And I have so many stories that I could tell you just in one video. So stay tuned very soon. I'm going to come up with a bunch of stories I've had about having really annoying experiences with people in a movie theater. It'll be very much in the format of one of Chris Stuckman's rants on annoying moviegoers. Look forward to that very soon. Trust me. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.